I'm the senior engineer for Zone 1 on York Central, so I'm dealing with the structures at the start of the job, and then the new road will go through York and basically create more access, better access through York. I come from the very north of Scotland. I was actually brought up in the Hebrides. My dad is a deer stalker, my mum is a chef, and they work together in estates. My dad was also in the military, and my older brother also joined the military, so it just seemed like the logical thing to do. It was never the plan to be in the military. I was always going to be the one that went to university, but it just didn't work out that way. So I didn't have much time to figure out what I wanted to do, so I joined the army. And they do tests to figure out what you're good at and what you're not so good at, and they put me in to become a linguist. And then I very quickly realised I didn't want to do that either. I decided I wanted to be in the construction side. So I did my training through the army. I did my first 9 months, I think it was, down in Kent, where they teach you the basics of construction, like surveying as well as engineering, and a bit of soil testing and stuff like that. Basically just an overview of the whole thing. So I did 4 years in unit before I then went back to Kent to do my exams. I actually ended up breaking my hip at that point, and through however many years it took, I ended up getting medically discharged, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go, because the Army's education into engineering is so broad. It didn't have a definitive job in Civilian Street. So I went through all the sort of interviews with different people and everything else, and ended up at CISC. And I honestly think it's the best thing that could happen to anyone leaving the military because of how close and supporting it is. When I left the army, it was one of the most daunting times in my life, and I didn't know where life was going to take me, and I actually really wanted to go back into the army for the first 2 or 3 months. I didn't know how to pay rent or get a dentist. I was 28 years old and didn't really have a clue how to be an adult, to be honest. And there was so much help within CISC, not even just the actual company, the people that were around me that they'd brought in were just so helpful with everything. It was like having a family away from home, which is what I felt in the army as well, so it just put me at ease. Not just with work, but when things happen in your personal life, they make sure that family comes first, and they'll support you through whatever it is that you're doing. Just the understanding that my whole life was changing, and every little thing that they could think of that would help, they found it. They just made the transition so smooth. I left the military with 4 other people. We left at the same time, and I was definitely the lucky one because the support for veterans, the help through the transition, everything that CISC could do, they did do. And the path of progression within CISC is so easy to access, so you know where you're going to go. You don't have to worry about what's next for you because there's options, and the options are always made clear to you. In the army, it was, this is your route, and if you're not physically fit enough to get there, you aren't getting there. But in CISC, they help you to get somewhere, so you don't have to figure it all out yourself. I would definitely recommend CISC to any of my friends and family because they would be safe and they would be supported, and they would have the warm fuzzy feeling that I get going to work.